Hey, welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. I have a really surprise for you today with a marketing consultant that when I first met him, it was fun. I mean, we met in a networking group. I looked over at him. I was like, hey, we ought to talk. We ought to connect because you do marketing, I do marketing. It'd be great to get to know you. And I thought, I'm a stud. I'll hang with this guy. And then I found out that Procter & Gamble, Frito-Lay, Johnson & Johnson were his foundation stones in marketing. So all of a sudden I realized strategy and creativity were the diamonds that he carried in his purse. And I didn't have those. So I have to be thankful that you guys get the treat of meeting my good friend Dave Swift.
Patrick, good to see you.
It's always good to see you. I really mean that too. First time we met, I just went, oh my God, you really have the right background. And today I know what we want to cover are things like what is marketing and what's not marketing and some really steps for strategy. But before we do that, let's learn a little about you. What's your story?
Well, I'm a boy who grew up in Chicago and then came to Dallas and loved the weather.
Yeah, got here as fast as you could.
Decided I'd stay here, and when I was choosing colleges to go to, I said, the weather's a whole lot better in the Bay Area out in California than it is in Boston, so let's go to Stanford.
Nice.
So I went there undergraduate, graduate school of business, and then went to work for Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson, and then the Frito-Lay division of PepsiCo, where I went through a variety of increasing responsibilities and breadths of stuff, and eventually then moved on to go to Greyhound, the bus folks, as the senior VP of marketing, and to a wireless messaging company who actually brought texting to the U.S. before the telephone companies had it.
So you were on the bleeding edge
we were on the bleeding edge of technology and had a lot of fun with it, as you might imagine. And since that time have been doing consulting and primarily marketing strategy and sales strategy.
And I know you've done a lot of that. I mean, you've helped a lot of people with helping them really grow their business with some massive results. So, when you look at great background, great foundation, Stanford doesn't suck.
Nice place to be.
Nice place to be, So if you got to go to a school, that's a good one. But the thing that I want to know is when you look at marketing, you come at it from a little different perspective, I think, maybe than I do. I think everything is marketing and marketing is everything, but you have a real unique stance on it. So you want to start with what is or what isn't?
Let's start with what isn't,
okay.
Because that's what the things I'm going to say that aren't are what most people think marketing is.
Right.
Most people, and you can name them off if you want to as well, and we can just say yes or no, but advertising is certainly what people think of when you say marketing. They think advertising. Well, no, advertising is an element of marketing,
right,
but it is not marketing. The other thing people think of is promotions. Buy one, get one, whatever. Well, no, that's not marketing. That's an element, a tactical element of marketing. Being on a video and putting that video out on the internet, that is a tactic in terms of marketing, but it is actually not marketing itself. And almost anything that somebody tries to sell you, that some vendor tries to sell you as marketing, is not marketing. It is a tactic.
Okay.
It is an element of marketing.
So you're talking, if I'm understanding you correctly, and it's like the tree versus the leaf. Everything you've mentioned, the things that when we talk about direct response type of applications, they're
elements of marketing.
They're elements.
And particularly tactics, not even strategy. So to understand marketing and to be able to better choose which tactics you wish to use and that will be most effective, you first need to set the stage, as it were, and go up to the 40,000 foot level,
okay,
and say, what is marketing and what am I going to do in order to achieve my objectives? So marketing is actually taking an individual market and setting goals, objectives that you want to accomplish in that market, and determining what strategies and tactics are going to be best and going out and doing it.
Okay.
Hopefully measuring it and seeing whether it works and improving and going from there. But the first thing we have to understand is, what is a market? And when I say a market, what I'm talking about, picture a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And in that triangle, you've got 3 corners.
Right.
And one of those corners is going to be where? Where is the product or service purchased? The second triangle is the people, the consumer, the customer.
The who?
The who. Who, and what are the characteristics of the who
Right.
that are going to be most likely to help you achieve your objectives for selling your service or product? And the third part of the triangle is the competition. What are the competitors? And they can be companies or they can be alternate choices of products or services that could be substitutable for what, in fact, you're going to be offering. So you first of all determine individual markets that you want to be part of, starting with one. And then if you identify others, well, that's great. You have to set up literally a different marketing strategy many times by market. And let me give you an example. Frito-Lay was one of the folks that I worked for, and so that's the snack business. And if you think about where Frito-Lay sells their snacks, one market for them is the grocery store.
Right.
And in the grocery store, let's think about the triangle here. It's primarily someone shopping for a family.
Right.
Okay, and it is all the competitors that are out there that can buy their way or convince the grocer to stock their products. And obviously the location is going to be mom and pop grocery stores, chain grocery stores, whatever. Well, think about just one strategy, the product strategy. What product do you want to have in a place like that? Well, you want a product that's going to be big enough, i.e. a bigger bag,
Right.
because they're buying not just for themselves, but for their family. And if they're buying for their family, well, they got to be careful because, you know, one family member might not like something really hot and spicy and whatever, so they tend to be more generic. They make sure they have the base flavor and maybe some milder other ones. Let's compare that to the person who shops in a convenience store as a market. In the convenience store, totally different size, so there's fewer products, fewer competitors in there. The person who shops there is primarily single or blue-collar worker.
Right.
And if so, they're eating it for immediate, they're going in there for immediate consumption rather than for later consumption. And because they're younger, they tend to want, in research you find out, spicier, more flavor things than they want base. So what does Frito-Lay do? Well, they have smaller bags. They will try to get a few of those bigger bags in there just in case somebody needs to take it home on the way, but for the most part, they're catering to a different market. It's that market of immediate consumption, that worker who's coming in there for lunch, who's, as a blue collar, is actually expending calories doing their work and therefore needs calories.
Right.
So guess what? The super side, the in-between, not the little bag, but the big gulp equivalent for snacks. Two very different markets, two very different product offerings. Pricing strategy is different in there. They price those differently. So we could kind of go down all the elements that we'll cover later, but they approach it very, very differently than they do the grocery store because it's a different market.
What's interesting to me in what you're saying is that a lot of times I think product and where does the product fit? But you've started with the niche or the psychographic or demographic component first.
Correct.
And then said, okay, what's their need? Let's fill it, but let's make sure we fill it the right way. Is that what you're really saying?
Exactly. We optimize what we are bringing to that particular market.
Right.
In all the different ways, whether it's pricing, product, how we promote, all those different things. Those are the things that we do by market if we're going to be most efficient and most effective.
It's interesting because that's a real flip. I have to tell you, a lot of the stuff that I've learned is that marketing is everything and everything is marketing. So that's one phraseology, but basically to me, marketing is getting somebody to raise their hand and say, tell me more. You know, this show is based on that model. Tell me more. Well, but what you're saying is that really marketing starts with the whole psychographic demographic and then find their need and fill it in a way that they want it.
Exactly, and think of it in these terms. Who as they watch this video or any of the other shows that you do, they're doing it maybe for entertainment, but more likely, if they've understood, it's going to be for information.
Right.
Okay. Well, they have a lot of different other markets they can go to for information.
Right.
Okay. Yours is a channel, which is a channel strategy, is one marketing strategy. Yours is a channel that people who are looking can come to. And if we think about, well, who's your competition in this market? Well, it's a different set of competition than if they wanted to buy a book on it.
Right.
Okay. So you've got something in the market, or if someone comes on this program hoping to use it to get people to contact them, well, they are looking at this as this is a market that I want to tactically be involved in.
Right. So again, it goes back to just a tactic, not necessarily strategy.
Yeah.
When we look at marketing, you wanted to talk about the elements of marketing. So what are the elements of marketing then?
Yeah, it starts first of all with positioning.
Okay.
And positioning is how you differentiate yourself. In other words, how you want to be perceived by anyone who comes to this market.
Okay.
Okay. And so basically a typical positioning statement is going to say, for people who want X,
Right.
I, or brand X, is the brand in the category. So you define what category you play in. And this is important because you can redefine and create new categories if you want to be unique and different. That does such and such. And that's that old USP principle of your unique selling point. That comes in there. What makes you unique? And then you have to say, proved by, and now you got to, how do you prove you're unique?
Social proof or whatever it takes to.
So that positioning statement that you start with is, here is who I'm targeting. Here is the name of me, the brand, and so forth. I now have this category that I'm part of, and how am I different? And how do I prove and have proof that I am in fact this different that I just claim to be?
Well, speaking of telling people where you are, I know that's in the part of that is you need to tell people how to get a hold of you, because I love what you're saying. And if you're starting a business or building a business and you've gotten to a point where things are kind of bumping up against a glass ceiling, so to speak, I know you can help them get through that. So how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is to contact me through themarketingguru.com, .us, excuse me, themarketingguru.us. And that's with one G, by the way. I don't know how to spell, but it fits, it's shorter, it's fewer things to type in. So, but it's themarketingguru.us.
.us, that's the only, you got to get that.
Don't forget that US there, yes.
Let's go back to the elements, though, because I know you weren't finished on that. What are some of the other components of the elements, and what is it that you really want to get out on that part?
Well, once you have a positioning and know what you want to accomplish, then you have to go and say, okay, what are my strategies? And the elements are really, first of all, next level down after the positioning is the strategies.
Right.
And strategies are simply the rules or the methods that you are going to use to accomplish whatever your objectives are. Those, for everybody, comprise many things, but pricing is one of them. Think about how many people you know who are out there running a business and wondering, how do I price my product? Well, pricing strategy provides you determine what strategy do you want to use. There are a lot of ways to do it. You can do it based upon cost and markup that's competitive in the thing. You can take, if your positioning is premium, then you can say, okay, I'm going to mark it up X number of times more than my competition, and that in turn will be the proof, believe it or not, that I am better because I charge more. And if you charge more, you must be better. Right?
That's the perception.
That's the perception. And marketing is all about perception. Perception is reality when it comes to marketing. And you can make reality out of what you can get people to perceive.
Well, the only thing about that, though, that's a little bit, you can challenge it. I mean, if somebody puts out poo.
Well, yeah. Now, the
just like
follow-up
that,
the follow-up is you have to be able to deliver on
Right.
the positioning that you claim, okay? But in a pricing thing, I'm just saying that's one way to reinforce the positioning. If your positioning is going to be, I'm going to be, nobody can beat my price, well, then you better have your pricing strategy be to survey everybody else and have a tactic that says, guess what? If you find it a lower price, I'll beat it and give you 10%.
The only thing that's really funny about that is that if you look back through kind of history of businesses that tried to adopt the I'll beat anybody's pricing, well, then you see just a graveyard. I mean, whether it be Fry's Electronics, not Fry's, excuse me, the predecessor to that was Incredible Universe. You know, they stopped doing their thing. There were so many others that are like that. Even the old, was it Montgomery Wards? You know, they were one of the early.
They segmented themselves in the catalog market and in the department store market to the lower end. Exactly.
Right. And there's no profit in there. And so, you know, so often, a lot of times people don't understand the value of their own stuff, do they?
They don't, and they also don't understand that if you're going to take a pricing strategy that says I am low, then you've got to be able to develop systems to make sure your costs are low enough and lower than those who are charging more to enable you to have some money left at the end.
Right.
So usually a low price thing is very difficult to survive unless you are operationally excellent.
Right. I know Walmart's pulled that off, but one of the things they force is a net 90-day payment program or beyond. And so they'll sit there and hold their money, they'll sell it, and they'll have that money in their coffers for, you know, essentially 85, 90 days.
Well, they're leveraging their bigness and buying power with vendors to be able to essentially use their cash. But before they were bigger, when Walton started out and did it, he wasn't big, he was a store.
Right.
And he did it simply by looking at the competition and primarily going to small towns where the competition was a sole proprietor,
Right.
little general store type thing, and he offered a much wider range of articles to buy, and he could lower his price on the ones carried by the competition in that town enough to make people say, oh, maybe I should go over here and check this out. And then suddenly they see there's all these other things and other choices that this original guy couldn't do, and happens the little guy goes out of business. And that was Sam Walton's march across the country.
And he's done a good job of actually conquering the world. But when we talk about the kind of consulting that you do, when you go into a business owner and you begin to teach them the value of what they're doing and how to find the profit centers and really highlight them and price them correctly, I know that you really show them how to profit from everything they're doing, don't you?
Well, profit's the name of the game. You got to use it to pay the bills, if nothing else, if not yourself. So yeah, you definitely have to do that. And pricing is just one strategy, Pat. Clearly, if you're just starting a business, there's the location. Where are you going to be? With dentists or chiropractors or many of the medical folks who are in private practice, by the time I get to talk to them, they're already at a location.
Right.
They made a marketing decision. They didn't know they were making a marketing decision when they did it. And if they're in a part of town that is very low income and they thought they wanted to be a premium priced practitioner, they're going to have a hard time surviving.
Right.
And so there's a sequence as well. So I would say it's better to talk to somebody before you get yourself locked in to a lease or to some things rather than after. But after, we can still help.
Well, even with if they're looking at moving, you would be an obvious choice to bring in at that point. Because like when we're talking about strategy, what are some of the strategies that you really teach?
Well, one of the key ones for people, particularly starting out, is acquisition of business, i.e. getting customers.
Okay.
Second one is keeping those customers.
Right.
Okay, how do you make sure that they keep coming back, and that you can get more sales from them, or either through increased frequency, or if it's a product, the strategy can be trading up size and stuff like that. The Another one is sales strategy.
Right.
How are you going to actually, once they have an interest, how are you going to sell them? How are you going to close them? Let's say it that way, because we won't say you sell them. They hopefully sell themselves.
Right.
But how do you close them? And what that can be a method, and we'll take a dental practice as an example. If somebody comes in the door, well, even before they come in the door, they call. You have
Right.
something out there, they like it, they call. You better have a sales strategy for that person answering the phone, because they need to know what they have to accomplish. Their accomplishment is get the person in the door so that we can actually have a conversation with them, as opposed to we're going to answer all their questions on the phone. There's no reason for them to come in anymore. Okay?
Right. Big mistake.
Big mistake. So those are the kinds of things. So sales strategy is another one. The product or service strategy. What products are you going to offer? Now, if you're a one-trick pony, you're just starting out, you only have one product, it's a pretty simple thing. You're offering that product.
Right.
But that product may be able to be repackaged depending upon the channel that you want to put it in, and done in different ways and positioned in different ways, or it may have multiple uses as opposed to one use, and you can determine what's going to be the thing that's going to cause us to have more sales than doing it another way.
And you have systems for showing people how to position those different elements, correct?
Correct.
Strategies.
Correct. It's actually, it's not easy, but it is very methodical in terms of here are the things that you look at and you go through and you ask a lot of questions and you look at a lot of different options. And marketing, by the way, is not something that happens overnight. You don't
Right.
get immediate results. But you set the stage to be able, over the long term, to be able to make things work for you. So I don't know. It's when you talk about strategies, there's no one that's more important than the other.
Right.
I think getting your positioning correct at the beginning is the most important, because it tells you then what strategies to look at across these different elements that can occur.
Don't you find that a lot of people, whether they're dentists, chiropractors, lawyers, or financial planners, whatever, they've got the widget, whatever the service is that they're bringing to the marketplace. Those people don't understand many times when they first get in there that they're not selling the widget. They have to become a marketing professional. They need to know how to get what you're talking about, strategy, elements, and really putting those things into action.
Well, I differ in just one aspect of that. They need to have professional marketing done for them.
Correct.
They don't need to become a professional. One of the classic things we see in any kind of medical sole proprietor type of thing is it's so much fun to be a marketer. I mean, everybody likes to stick their nose in there and say, oh, that was my ad, or I did this, or it's my coupon, yay, it worked. But the fact is, you ought to leave it to the professional if you want to make sure it's going to be done well.
Right.
Or at least your money's going to be maximized and optimized. But the other thing is that as a professional, you should be delegating as quickly as you can afford to do so anything that doesn't require your license to do.
Right.
Because that's the only way. I mean, your life will be much better because other people are doing the stuff that you didn't sign up to do. You wanted to be a doctor or a dentist or a chiropractor or a veterinarian. You didn't really want to be a business person.
Right.
And if you can have somebody else and get systems into place to do that and be able to delegate that, then you can concentrate on the thing that was actually your passion, the reason that you were in there. And unless you're in there just to it's a high-paying profession. If your passion was, I like people, or I like fixing teeth, or I like dogs and cats, and I just love to be around them, and I want to make that my career and passion, that's what you want to focus on if you want quality of life. And ironically, getting good marketing can lead to good quality of life because you're doing things right, you're getting your best return on your investment of your marketing dollars, and as a result, you're able to afford to focus your time, your energy, and anything else that you want to on your passions.
One of the things that's real key here, and I'm pretty certain that you have the answer in this area, and that is that for the the chiropractor or the dentist that's just out of school and they're getting started, they probably are loaded down with a ton of debt. They are probably not really, they haven't quite developed the acumen for the marketing. Do you have strategies for those type of people that are getting started so that they're not blowing their wad, so to speak, on increasing their debt on the marketing? They're actually using it as a component of it. Do you have the systems for that?
Yes, and it's, again, very important that they get someone, unfortunately, the salespeople who sell equipment to
Right.
these folks are usually the first ones they talk to, because they're the ones that schmooze them at their professional schools when they're getting their degree. And they will be the ones that are looked to, and they'll say, oh, we got this shiny thing and this shiny thing, and this is a lot of fun. And before long, the bank says, well, we're going to give you X number of dollars, and now they've spent them all on toys,
Right.
and they have no patience. So the more important thing to do is get with someone like myself, and we actually know how to budget you for how much you should spend on equipment now, how much on finish out, how much on systems, how to get a budget together for staffing and so forth. And by the way, here's how much we want to invest in marketing, and from there, what tactics work best when
Right.
you're just starting out, as opposed to when you're an ongoing type of business.
And I know you have the kind of social proof on that. You've done that a number of times, haven't you? with
Correct.
Many
Yes,
practices.
Yes. Yeah, we know it works.
And it's the marketingguru.us. They can connect with you there. And then is there information there, or should they go to the contact you? What should they do?
Either contact me, and then the better thing is to have us sit down and chat and determine whether or not it's what their situation is and whether or not we can help them.
Well, and I'm pretty sure that you you probably don't work with everybody. I mean, it's
Well, that's
one of those one of those got to be the right kind of person to develop the right kind of result. Somebody that's teachable, somebody that actually has the money to invest in these different areas, in their marketing, in their education, right?
Correct. So it's an interview that goes two ways.
Well, folks, this is the Business Spotlight, and today Dave Swift has been sharing real keys for how you can begin to understand what marketing really is. So I learned a lot today, and then some of the strategies. And I would encourage you, go to themarketingguru.us and connect to Dave. If you're wanting to start a business, if you own a business and you want to grow it, themarketingguru.us is the way to go. I'm Pat Dewar. This is the Business Spotlight, and we'll talk to you all next time.